Hello, Player 3 here. The year is 1985, and this is Retro Rewind. An in-depth review filled with the history behind the game, a walk through the manual, my own gameplay, ratings, and much more. This time, a childhood occupation turned arcade game. That's right, it's Paperboy. Developed and published by Atari Games with an original release as a coin-op. Following the video game crash of 1983, Atari Inc. split in two. Warner Communications retained the arcade coin-op division and sold off the consumer products division. This would remain until a merger of the two halves in 1992. Prior to that, though, the arcade coin-op division was renamed to Atari Games. But let's take it back a few more years to 1981. Where just as Agony's Francois left us with an extensive look at his game, so too did John Sawitz for Paperboy. John Sawitz began working at Atari in October of 1981, and would stay there for about 10 years, this after having applied there once before and being rejected. Dave Ralston, the artist for Paperboy, began working at Atari about a year before John. Together, their first game they created was a coin-op called Aka R, though it flopped in sales in part to the success of Robotron 2084. John and Dave thought that was it, that they failed and Atari would let them go. But a member of Atari, Dan Van Elderen, who would ultimately become the Atari Games president from 1995 to 2003, told Dave and John, "Pretty good try for a bunch of rookies. What are you going to do next?" That was the push they needed to start again, with something better. In February of 1983, in one of Atari's brainstorming presentations, Dave Ralston showcased an idea for a game with a kid riding down the street delivering newspapers, himself having been a paperboy in his youth, but the exact reason for such an idea is lost on me. Nevertheless, the brainstorming was successful. Dave's idea won the best idea of the presentation. In order for a game at Atari to be made, though, they had to pass an initiation meeting. And due to Dave's idea being a success in the brainstorming presentation, passing beyond this meeting into becoming a reality was a breeze. It took a while for John to come around to the idea of working on a game such as this, as the concept was a bit odd compared to other games you might see in an arcade, shoot-em-ups and the like, but he eventually came around and joined the team. Along with John and Dave, the Paperboy team consisted of hardware designer Doug Snyder, technician Linda Sinkovic, sound designers Hal Cannon and Earl Vickers, mechanical engineer Milt Loper, and animator Will Noble. As you can see, most of this core team had their initials placed as Easter eggs in the game. Milt Loper's doesn't say ML, it says CR. When asked by John Sawitz, he told him it stands for Crazy Rooster from back in Milt's days of riding motorcycles. John suspects CR doesn't really stand for Crazy Rooster though. Milt played an important role as mechanical engineer, as he was responsible for the creation of Paperboy's iconic handlebar controller, its conception being heavily influenced by the controller yoke from Star Wars in 1983, itself heavily influenced by the controller for Bradley Traynor, and that idea came from Battlezone. In its earliest iteration, Milt took a stripped-down Star Wars yoke and bolted on the handlebar from a kid's bike. Then through many iterations, playtests, and stress tests, we ended up with this beauty. The only issue was that the button for launching the newspapers was hidden, though the genius workaround was to double it as the start button, so the player had to find it first before playing. Then the visuals. Firstly noting that the display for Paperboy was not the standard 320 by 240 pixel display, but was at the medium 512 by 384 pixels. Much of Paperboy's technology from the programming hardware to the cabinet hardware and everything in between at the time was top of the line, new, and a bit complex, thus being a large factor in the game taking so long to make, nearly 2 years in fact. Another aspect of the visuals, the isometric format for the game, heavily inspired by Zaxxon, but rather than using the typical 120 by 60 degree isometric view, crushing the x-axis and bringing the angle to 135 by 45 degrees, allowing for a more natural angle when maneuvering the boy down the street. On this street you would find boats, rolling pianos, giant snails in the driveways, and ducks in business suits. Though this sounds hysterical, and I would have loved to play this version, it didn't last long. In their first focus group, the game didn't go over well as the bizarre world they were delivering papers in didn't resonate with the players. So the team took a step back and focused on the one street they had so far, Easy Street, and brought 2 more members onto the team, Don Traeger as product marketing lead and Brighton Daw as project manager. So with the focus on Easy Street and the bizarre characters having not worked, they scrapped all but 3, Death, the Wolfman, and the old lady with a basket. But now adding an additional 18 characters to this bizarre street, but not as over-the-top bizarre as before. And with the second focus group being a success, they knew they had something good. The next additions were that of adding 2 more streets, Middle Road and Hard Way, bumping the difficulty up with higher scores displayed for each, and a cumulative high score for if you complete all 3 streets being a grand slam, the best of the best. Then came the training course, a bonus round that allowed for a break in the action as well as adding new mechanics and something for the player to strive to gain as many points as possible. This, along with the daily tally of points, allowed for the team to slyly subtract points from the player for breaking their customers' properties in the form of the breakage bonus, which subtracted the breakage of customers' properties from the overall course score. It wasn't until later on that the mechanic of losing and gaining customers was implemented, leading to the idea of multiple different ways to play the game. Being the best paperboy you could be and avoiding damaging property, or being an absolute menace about town, destroying everything in sight while retaining at least 1 customer. Both garnered points, but ultimately the most points were possible when finding a balance between the 2. Finally, towards the end of development, sound was needed. One sound in particular was the voice of the Paperboy himself, which at this point the team didn't even know what he looked like. All they saw to this point was his back, but after working on programming the title screen, this is what Will Noble came up with. John Salwitz likened him to Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine. But the voice coming from none other than one of their newest additions to the team, Don Traeger. The voice lines were broken up into 3 categories that triggered in-game. Responses to dying, as a reward for tossing the newspapers into mailboxes, and observations to characters in the game. And by late 1984, Paperboy had its first field test at Golfland in Sunnyvale, California. And with that being a success, showcasing the game alongside Marble Madness at the Amusement and Music Operators Association show in Chicago. Marble Madness was up for sale at that point, Paperboy was not. But by spring of 1985, manufacturing began, and at the Amusement Showcase International in Chicago that spring, the first of Paperboy's roughly 3,500 units were sold. This was about 1,500 units short of what they were hoping to sell, but Paperboy was expensive to manufacture. So with the game off the assembly line and making their way to the arcades, it's time to delve into my playthrough and what I thought. Now, there was a large number of conversions, or ports, to Paperboy, and though I wasn't able to play the original arcade release, what I do have is the Sega Genesis version, released 6 years later. So that is what I'll be playing and reviewing. Though I want to try something a little different and compare all of the iterations of Paperboy later on in this video, and give a sort of speculative rating to the original release based on information I've found out about it and how it differs from the version I played. But first, the manual. It's the start of a new day. The birds are chirping. That familiar thwap sound can only mean one thing. You're beginning a day of delivering newspapers as a loyal and dedicated paperboy. While this may seem like a simple job, you'll soon learn that it'll take all of your bike riding skills just to make it through your paper route in the chaotic world of suburbia. This 7-page manual for the Sega Genesis version of Paperboy, released by Tengen, the computer and console game subsidiary of Atari Games, begins with the introductory story of the Paperboy, your protagonist of this game as you start your job delivering newspapers for the Daily Sun. So getting started, the game will open to the newspaper headline title screen, just like on the coin-op, where you can select Easy Street, Middle Road, or Hard Way, and select 1 or 2 players. Here's where things get a little weird though, the controls. So just like the coin-op, moving the handlebars forward to accelerate and backwards to slow down, you press up to accelerate and down to slow down. Simple enough, and A, B, or C to throw a newspaper. So, your choice. But it's the side to side that gets weird. Pressing left or right to move slowly left or right, and pressing up and left or up and right simultaneously to go left or right quickly. This is where the physical handlebars just don't translate to a controller's D-pad. But I digress. As mentioned previously during the development section, the manual brings up the different aspects of the game, such as the breakage bonus and the training course, and that for every customer's house that you failed to land a newspaper on their doormat or in their mailbox results in losing them as a customer. If you deliver papers to every customer, i.e. a perfect run, Then, if you have less than your starting 10 customers at the start of the day, you'll gain 1 back. Lose all of your customers though, and you'll lose the game. Alternatively, collide with enough obstacles losing all of your lives, and you will also lose the game. You can however gain extra lives at different point intervals depending on the difficulty selected, and then on the last page of the manual, it lists a few helpful hints. And that's about it there, so let's jump into the game itself. Oh, okay, well, this isn't the newspaper headline screen I was expecting. Pretty bland, actually. The manual shows a picture of it, though. This is rather disappointing. So, well, let's pick easy. That would be Easy Street, I suppose. And player 1 start. What? Wait, I mean, hey, there it is. What was the difficulty select screen from before then? If I select Easy Street now, is it Easy Street? Super easy mode? I'm already confused. Regardless, after the street select, you get an overview of the map and where your customers' houses are along the way. After each day, you'll see this view as the service report screen, showing your houses you've gained or lost and where the houses of the upcoming day are on your route. John Salwitz likened the screen as a metaphor for a real-world paperboy, cutting open a stack of newspapers, rolling them up individually, and securing them with rubber bands, preparing yourself at the start of your shift for the day. Now, if I had chosen 2-player mode, player 1 is represented in orange and player 2 in blue. There's no real right color for player 1 or 2, or 3 or 4 for that matter. More often than not, I'm sure you'd see player 1 and player 2 as red and blue, or blue and red, like Contra, and player 3 and 4 as green and yellow, or yellow and green. As you can tell, my name, player 3, I've likened it to green. Some games change it up. In Super Mario Bros., player 1, Mario, is red, and player 2, Luigi, is green. And here in Paperboy, it's orange for player 1 and blue for player 2. The reason behind that, though, might not be what you expect. You see, John Salwitz is a San Francisco Giants fan, and Dave Ralston, at the time of making Paperboy, was a LA Dodgers fan. Ergo, orange and blue. Without further ado, my playthrough, going in blind, as this was before I did all my research for the game's history. Starting off on Middle Road, I usually start off at medium, or normal difficulty, though it's hard to maneuver the bike with a D-pad, so it's gonna take me a while to get the hang of this. The manual made it seem fairly easy, but it's really not. Especially in Middle Road with all these hearses driving by, which is weird enough on its own, but they come from the right? It'd be better if they came from the left. I feel like I'd be able to time it better. And there's no reverse. So there's no way to avoid an obstacle. The best I can do is slow down to a crawl and slowly watch my inevitable end. That sucks. I can't even get through Monday without using up all my lives. And there's 7 days? Jeez. This is gonna be a while. So while I'm here, I might as well get familiar with the folks on my route. Let's see. Dang, they got 2 mowers? Just leaving them outside too, huh? Wait, why is one gas-powered and the other one manual? Oh. Someone lost a tire. Was that you, sir? Yeah, you best go chase it down. That's what I get for not paying attention. I bet that kid right there is laughing his ass off. Okay, careful. Good. Okay, coming up on the road, gotta look both ways, gotta be safe. Are there no stop signs here? Is this town full of felons? This is really dangerous. Okay, I'm missing a few of my customers, but that's okay. I can get them back. Okay, so far so good. Nothing is really out to get me. Oh. Okay. Both crashes have been my fault. That's my bad. These damn signs, though, right in my way. Well, I missed that one. Wait, the Grim Reaper?
Damn right!
Why? Did I hit those signs too hard? Am I supposed to be dead right now? Just cheating death? Oh, well, at least crashing on the training course doesn't take lives away. Alright, Tuesday. Who will we see today? Holy crap, it just started. It's the Wolfman. And more tires? Are they sentient? Is this where the movie Rubber got their idea? Okay, a hearse is in my way. Nice. Ah, a Tweedledee brought over a Tweedledum to watch me crash again. Not today, asshole. Oh, phew. Oh, shit. Stop that. Oh God.
I live a life of danger.
I live a life of danger? Well, don't live a life of danger. You only got one left, kid. Ah! Oh. I thought he was going to come at me. Really? 3 times. Easy street it is. It's better to work my way up anyway. It's all part of the plan. Most of my attempts went about as well as that one did, dying from obstacles I should have avoided and making the same mistakes over and over, having trouble avoiding characters when there were multiple at one time. But I did eventually make some headway in this one run. Alright, here we go. Just another Monday on Easy Street. Just gotta be careful. Okay. I've been a good boy here, no damaging anyone's windows, mostly due to the fact that if I try to add that factor, I'll lose focus on completing the damn thing, which is priority number 1. I'm really cutting it close on some of these, but I still love all my lives. I even completed the training course, which should be a gimme if I'm careful enough. Oh, yeah, only missed one house? Pfft, I will take that. On to Tuesday. Everything is in the same spot as last time. Oh, I hate these cats. They are so fast. Oh, I sped through that one. I missed quite a few that time. Let's see what Wednesday brings. Oh no, Hearst, move.
Looking for a passenger?
Looking for a passenger? Bruh. Why in the hell did I slow down there?
Cat's kinda big, isn't it?
You know, now that you say that, yeah, what are these, Maine Coons? They're as big as the kid. And I guess Death doesn't live on Easy Street. At least he doesn't hang out there on the first half of the week. Alright, almost halfway through. I got this. Hey, whoa, what? Did you just place a bomb? Sir, you cannot be doing that. I know this is a crazy place, but that's just too far. Oh, my bad. I ran into the random construction dude jacking up the road. I'm not even doing good anymore. Yep, that's it. You know, I'd quit too. He's a real loser? Who said that? Show me his name. Blah, 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 blah. Who subscribes to this anyway? Where are we? Who runs this newspaper? I've seen the Wolfman running around and these sentient tires rolling around, and that's got to be more interesting in the news, in this newspaper, than every column being about the guy who delivers this very same newspaper. Alright, well, I suppose 13,331 isn't a terrible score. I'd still like to beat a route, though. Alright. Okay. Really? Urgh. You know what? Actually, I think I'm done. Let's see what the reviews at the time said. Looking like anywhere between 3 out of 10, ouch, and 8.9 out of 10. That's quite the range. Let's start with the top and work our way down. And since these are from various game systems, I'll try to pinpoint more aspects that could relate to them all. Well, not off to a great start. Why is this 89% rating for the Game Boy version showing a screenshot of the Amiga version? That's what it says. I don't think I can trust your opinion now. So, moving on, let's try the 88% one about the Master System conversion by Richard Ledbetter in Computer and Video Games issue number 110. Paperboy ranks as one of the best arcade conversions available for the Sega. The Sega? The Sega what? Oh, yeah. This was the only Sega console at the time. Yeah, my bad, damn. Okay, continue. With bright, colorful graphics, great scrolling, and plenty of nice, humorous touches thrown in. All of the features of the arcade game are in there. This was also true to the Genesis. The only slight downer is the Sega's attempt at copying the arcade tunes. They sound a bit ropey to me. What does ropey mean? Ah, this is a British magazine and it is British slang for poor quality. Well, let's try a mid-level review now. A 67% for the Game Boy in Mean Machines, number 3, December of 1990. The original was buckets of fun, and the Master System version, see Mean Machines issue 1, is excellent, but it really doesn't work in this format. It needs colorful graphics, and the Game Boy, bless its little heart, just can't deliver. Yeah, I'd agree with most of their rating percentages, but lastability? Sorry to tell you guys, but it's still being ported, so I think it lasts. There's even an homage to Paperboy in Rockstar's Bully. Let me try to find that Master System review of theirs. 89%. Ooh, they have a Mega Drive one too. That's essentially me. 72%. Why is it lower? Looks nigh on perfect, but this conversion is sadly flawed in the gameplay department. The bike doesn't handle well and the collision detection is all over the shop. With more rigorous playtesting, this could have been a winner. As it stands, its fun is marred by its foibles. Damn, that is spot on to how I felt and what I experienced. Okay, well, let me look at the 30% real quick. For the NES, another one with a low lastability rating. Oh, I guess they mean specifically for this variant of the game, not necessarily the game as a whole. Okay. A highly offensive product which weighs in as a sad, derisive conversion of a classic coin-op. Damn, dude, you hated this version. I mean, it was a bit more harsh than I would say, but I haven't played the NES version, so But it appears that everyone was wishing these conversions were closer to the coin-op. Which sounds like they all liked the original. That just makes me want to play it even more. I've mentioned a few Paperboy's conversions here in these reviews, but as I mentioned before, I wanted to bring up all of the other conversions of Paperboy. Besides the coin-op and the Genesis version which I played, we have the Atari 7800, NES, Sega Master System, Famicom, PlayStation, N64, Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Xbox 360, Atari Lynx, Game Boy, Game Gear, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, PSP, BBC Micro, Tandy Color Computer, Commodore 16, ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, MS-DOS, Apple IIgs, Atari ST, Commodore Amiga, multiple versions of Windows, and multiple versions of mobile devices. That is quite a few conversions. I don't think it's the most ever, but it's up there. In fact, I know it's not the most ever. I can't imagine any other game having that title besides Doom. And I still don't know why Dave Ralston wanted to make a game about a paperboy. I always hear people say that they used to have a job as one. But after doing some not-so-quick math, I came up with there being about 4,800 paperboys across the United States in 1973, which was its peak of printed newspapers. Out of about 20 million boys in the age range to do it. So, I don't know. Regardless, Paperboy was a success. In a retrospective in Retro Gamer number 125, Elite's co-founder Steve Wilcox reflected on Paperboy. Elite was responsible for a number of Paperboy's conversions. When asked what Steve thought was their best and worst conversions, he said the ZX Spectrum was probably their best and the Commodore 64 was their worst. Alright, so what did I think? Well, I'm giving Paperboy for the Sega Genesis a 5.5 out of 10. Not great. That review for the Mega Drive says it all, though. Poor controls, poor collision detection, just an overall underwhelming conversion, but not bad. I can see hints of the game's beauty shining through. 5.5 puts Paperboy at first for games I've played from 1985. Technically from 1991, but I'm referring to the original release in this category. But that makes Paperboy the oldest game I've played as well. Right now, 4th in the action genre, and for the version I played, putting it 5th on the Genesis, and so far, 2nd in games I've played this year. Paperboy was a tough game, and I'll be honest, I never beat it. Coin-ops are meant to be hard and for you to spend your money on. They wouldn't be profitable if they were easy, so I get it, skill issue, but if I kept playing, there'd probably be a hole in my wall, so yeah, I'm done. The game's not for me, and let's see, according to John Salwitz, Atari had quarterly goals for gameplay per quarter spent. So the aim was to hook players within 30 seconds of playing the game, or they might walk away. And Paperboy came out at 50 cents per credit, so it was really important to hook players. That meant a real focus on core gameplay, which seems to be lost on a lot of games today. But let's see then. I probably played the game about 50 times, so if I were at an arcade, that would be $25, which in 1985... about $74 today. They would have gotten their money's worth out of me. But like I said, I think I'm done with Paperboy for now. On the Genesis, anyway. If I ever come across one at an arcade somewhere, you bet your ass I'm playing it. If I were to speculate, having not played the coin-op yet, but I'd put Paperboy at 6.25 for the original release. That still doesn't seem great, but to me it's an above-average, decent game. Again, this is just speculative. If you've played the Paperboy coin-op, let me know, or any conversion for that matter, and what you thought of it. And if you have any game recommendations, leave them in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll enjoy what I have in store. That's all for now. See you next time.